Hello, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to do this problem called Valid Palindrome 125. It is an easy problem in LeetCode, and I'm actually surprised that I haven't done this problem yet. I already know a solution, but rather than just talking about it right now, let's go through the solution process, right? So, first thing I like to do in my solution process is I like to just explore the problem, read out its statement, get the input and output, and then get some examples. But before we get the examples, we need to just ask some questions if I have any. And then, yeah, we can go from there. And once I explore the problem, the statement, input, output, examples, we can go through some approaches. Then after that, we can go ahead and plan the approach with some pseudocode and then implement the plan and review the time complexities and evaluate, right? So let's do that right now. So let's just go ahead and read out the problem with the input and output. So a phrase is a palindrome if after converting all uppercase letters into lowercase letters and removing all non-alphanumeric characters, it reads the same forward and backward. Alphanumeric characters include letters and numbers. Okay, so we're given a string s, then return true if it's a palindrome or false otherwise. Oh, I feel like I'm crossing right now. But anyways, so for our input, we know that our input is going to be a string. And for our output, in general, we want to, for output, it's going to be a bool, but it's going to be true if is palindrome, and then false if not palindrome. Or just say else not. And then for some notes, oh yeah, so for some notes, when I was reading the problem, it said that we need to convert all uppercase letters into lowercase, so convert uppercase to lower, and then we need to remove spaces. Pretty sure. Oh yeah, and we gotta remove, other than spaces, remove non-alphanumeric. So basically we need to remove spaces and special characters, like this stuff. I'm pretty sure. It's like that stuff on the number keypad thing. So yeah, I'm not sure how we're gonna do that. But we'll switch it up, right? And so now that we've gone through input and output and we know some notes, let's just go ahead and do some examples. So example one, let's just say we have an input to be I guess an easy one is just car. Um, you have to see if it is the same backwards. Well, if we reverse it, it's gonna be ARC, car, and the normal way is CAR, right? So RAC and CAR are not the same, so it is not a palindrome at all. So we're gonna turn false. And then let me think of another example that is a palindrome. Um, let's just say lol, right? Um, so if you go through it, a lol backwards is LOL, lol forward is LOL, so it is true. Let's do another example. Um, how about lol with a space, right? So LOL, right? Well, according to our notes, that we need to remove non-alphanumeric characters, so like spaces as well. So in this case, it'll just be LOL, like the whole string will be just LOL without the spaces. And so, once we do that, LOL is LOL backwards, right? It's the same thing, so we're going to return true. Then another example, um, I think, I think that's pretty much it. We have a true and false example, whether it will return true or false if it is a palindrome. So now that we got some input and output, and we did some examples to showcase our mastery, to showcase our understanding of the problem, let's go ahead and go through some approaches. So when I was looking at this problem, I was thinking about using slicing. So like slicing is like this, right? We can do this, -1. This is just reverses a list or string for us. Or in general, reverse is a string. So we can say like return like if no, I'll do that later. We just return if those two are equal, if the original string and the reverse string is equal. Or we can do something such as two pointers. We have one pointer at index 0 and one and second pointer at length of the string minus 1. And then we just check if those two length values are the same. If they are, we just keep going, right? And comparing the other two when they're decremented and incremented, right? That would be a good solution. The one where we reverse the whole string, that would be like O in space because we're technically um, going through the whole string and reversing it. But if we just have two pointers, it's O of one space because we're only using pointers, right? We're not using we're not creating another extra string to compare with, right? So I think that's the solution that we're going to go with, or the approach we're going to go with, I mean. So now that we have an approach, let's just go ahead and plan that. So the first thing I want to do in my code is I want to get user input. So get user input of string, and then after that I want to create. Oh, actually, let me just type in some pseudocode for that. Actually, so when we get user input, we can just say user input is equal to input, right? And then next step I want to do is I want to create two pointers. So create two pointers. So these pointers really are going to be um are going to be like start. No, left is and left and right pointers, and then left is going to be equal to 0. And it's going to equal to the length of the string minus 1. And then from there we can just do like a little while loop. So kind of similar to like binary search in a way. We can say is um left is less than right, less than equal to right. Because what if like they're at the same index, right? Um, going to compare, both index values if same. So if false, if not same, going to return false, and then if true, well, I can just say this. So just write it like this way because it's better for me. So if same, then we're going to um, increment left by 1. So left plus equal to 1. And then I'm going to do like right once equal to 1. Right? So didn't go, yeah. So in this case, for example, if we have left at index 0 and right at index 2, then if they're the same, then we're going to say, okay, increment left by 1 and decrement right by 1. So then the both of them are going to be at this place, right? They're going to be at index 1. So and then they're going to compare, right? But if not same, then we're going to basically return false. And then once we get out of this while loop, we're going to so when outside while loop and true palindrome, then we're going to return true, right, if they're the same. So this plan seems like it works. Yeah, it seems like it works. For this case, if we have the left pointer at index 0 and right pointer at index 2, then when we do this comparison, if they're the same, it'll return false. So we're going to turn false. So this plan seems like it does work. So let's go ahead and code it. So let's go implement now that we have our plan. And when I implement, I just like to go with my plan step by step. So, but before I go to my plan, I want to create a main function. And I'm going to run that main function in the program. Now, once I have that, I want to create a function that actually solves the problem. So I'm going to create a function called check I'm gonna name it is valid, right? And I'm gonna give it the argument of a str or string, right? And I'm gonna pass it for now. So let's go back to our main function and let's go ahead and continue with our plan. So the first part of my plan is to get user input of a string. So I'm going to say user input is going to equal to input. And then once I have the input, I'm going to call is valid and give it the arguments of user input. And I know is valid is going to return a Boolean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print out a return value. So now this will just call is valid with user input. Then we're going to get the result, right? If it is valid or not. So now that we're done with that, let's create 2 pointers and continue with our plan. So I'm going to create left and right. As I said in the plan, left is going to equal to 0, right is going to equal to the length of the string minus 1. And then I'm going to go through a while loop. So while left is less than equal to right, what I want to do is I want to check if they're the same. So if string at index left and that value is equal to string at index right, then they're equal, right? So if they're equal, we got to continue going through the whole string one by one. So by one, we can increment left by 1, and then we can decrement right by 1 as well. But else, if they are not the same, then we can just return false, right? Oops, it should be capital. I forgot about that. So in theory, if it is a palindrome, then the if it is a palindrome, then the index at the middle will be the exact same, right? So if it's the exact same and they meet at the middle, after they meet at the middle, right will be less than left, right? And left will be more than right. So we're going to be out of this while loop, correct? So what we can do is once we're out of that while loop and done comparing, we can just say return true. Because if it hasn't met this case of else where they're not equal, or the index values or the characters are not equal to each other, if it hasn't met this at all in this whole while loop, then that means that it has to be a palindrome, right? So I think that's fine. So our code sounds pretty good. Kind of explained it pretty good. Now that I got over some examples, like mentally, let's actually try that in the code to see if it actually works in code. So I'm going to input what lol true. Oh wait, I forgot something. I forgot something completely important. Um, well, it does work. Well, let me just double check if it works, and then I'll go ahead with what I missed. So car, false. Okay, cool. What about ra, rar? Okay. So something that I missed is I forgot about the notes, right? So if this was a real interview, I'm pretty sure the interviewer wouldn't tell me until like I said like I'm completely done, right? They wouldn't tell me until I said that, right? So and they're relying on me to notice because I'm the person who's coding, and if I'm actually coding like at a job, they wouldn't tell me because I'm doing my own work, right? They're not here to supervise me, right? But anyways, so I forgot in the notes about we need to convert uppercase to lowercase and remove non-alphanumeric characters. So let's do this step where we have to convert uppercase to lowercase. So when I get user input, I want to say that the input is going to be dot lower. That's correct. Can we do that? And then we can say remove non-alphanumeric characters. And to do that, I don't know how to do that, so I'll search it up right now. All right, cool. So there is a way to do this. Very interesting. I would never think about this at all, so I don't know that much string methods. But we can kind of filter it out, right? So we can say that filtered. No, we can say that user. No, we can say that filtered user input is going to be equal to an empty string, right? But we can say dot join, and we can join we can join basically lists together, right? Or strings together. So we can say for for character in user input, um, character and user input, if what? If character is well, like alpha? Okay, that makes sense. Should I say alpha num? Is alpha num is all num? Okay, cool. Is all num. Right, so if it is alphanumeric, they're going to put it in the list to join it with. So yeah, that makes sense. But it's something to get my head around. So it's kind of interesting, but if it makes sense. So with an empty string, we're going to join um, characters. For the characters in these your inputs, we're only going to add the characters into this list if the character we're looking at is alphanumeric, right? So that makes sense. So in this case, we can just return, we can just give the isValid function an argument of filtered user input instead, right? So that makes sense. So yeah, I feel like this should work now if I have like spaced out LOL. True. And then what if I have like L $O $L? True. Okay, cool. So I think it does work. So what I want to do is I'm going to copy paste my code into LeetCode. So like this. But in this case, you don't have a main function to do some filtering out for us, such as like the lowercase, I mean the uppercase, the lowercase, and removal of non-alphanumeric characters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically get the string. So string is going to equal to s dot lower. And then we're going to have filtered s. Oh no, we're going to have string is going to be equal to empty string, and I'm going to say dot join, and then we're going to join characters for character in an s. Check is if an s if character is I'll no alf. I already forgot. Is where did I put it? Is alnum. Is that correct? Oh, it is alnum. Okay, so that should work. Yeah. Character for character in S if character is alnum. Okay, that makes sense. So I feel like I can run this code. It makes sense, right? So let's go run it. Okay, it works. Okay, cool, yay! Well, it beats 95%. Okay, so I'm guessing, oh wait, this is runtime, so it doesn't really matter. It kind of does matter a little bit, but not really. But in space only beats 28. Did I do something wrong? I don't know. But I feel like for like long strings, this should work, right? So yeah, so to review this, I'm pretty sure in space complexity, we're using O1 space because we're not using any extra um, strings to solve this problem. And then O of n, O of n time complexity, because for O of n divided by 2, we actually don't know. But I think it's O of n, like worst case anyways. Because for every element, for every character in the string, going through every character in the string one by one, so that makes sense, right? So yeah, cool problem.